friends, Lissa here. Today let's talk about when the cravings disappear, because that's one of the top questions that I'm always asked. So when exactly do these crazy cravings go away? This answer is very, very personal and everyone's going to be different, but to be completely honest, the cravings never actually 100% ever go away. You're always going to have nostalgia, and as long as these foods exist and there's commercials, you know, your friends share things in Facebook posts, you're gonna see things that kind of trigger that, I wish. But the cravings do subside with time, and the more you affirm in your mind that those aren't foods for you, the more often you keep yourself full, you can help with willpower, the easier it gets. There is definitely not a timeline. So if you guys are looking for like a 6-month goal or a 3-week thing, it's not that simple of an answer because you have to do the work. You're the only person that has to do this work. No one can do it for you. You have to go through every single day telling yourself and reaffirming to yourself that this is the way you want to live. You need to stop eating those foods, and yes, they are around, but you have to really work on your own perception of these foods so that you stop eating them and the cravings become less and less and less. Traditional stuff, I mean, we've got the Ukrainians, the Italians, the Germans, you know, every culture has their awesome food. You know, the Chinese have their Chinese food, the Japanese have their sushi. You've got, every culture has their stuff and traditions and all of this, you know, stuff that we grew up with. And it's part of our psyche, it's part of our, you know, routine, and we're creatures of habit. So when you do something the same every year or every week or whatever, you become used to it. And the only reason we're used to these things is because we constantly do them. And the only way to stop doing them is to stop doing them. We have to constantly make these positive changes. And it's really, really hard. But you can do it, and it does take time. But eventually, the cravings are kind of really just passing, and you start to realize when a craving is hunger. So when you smell pizza and all of a sudden you feel like, oh, like it, you know, it's in your throat and you feel hungry, and you think back on the day and you say, oh, well, I skipped lunch. This is probably my body's way of saying just eat something. So rationally, you just go and grab some bananas, go get a juice from the juice bar or something raw, vegan that you can, you know, consume before you go home or whatever. You want to make sure that you fill up. If you haven't eaten, you will have cravings. This is just the way your body works. Your body is just looking for fuel, and it's going to look for anything that fits into that comfort, traditional, easy, convenience kind of realm, because your brain knows you're going to go eat it. So you're going to crave those things that made you feel good in the past, right? Pizza on a Friday night. That's a fun time. We've connected it with a fun time. So your brain says, well, if we can get her to eat this, then we'll get fuel. But it doesn't default to the healthy stuff until you try hard and work at it day by day. Habits are created over about a month, so you have to do this all the time. Tell yourself what your food is. You need to practice. If you're having cravings for things like pizza or chili or tacos, you can find vegan and raw vegan versions of these dishes. Oil-free, healthy, you want to seek out these things. So when you have these cravings, you can find an alternative. You can find some flavors, some herbs, and normally all of the flavors in these, you know, meals are really the spices, you know, the sweetness or the flavor that we are looking for. And, you know, it depends, because pizza has that greasy, doughy texture that you can't get raw, but you can get the flavors and the satisfaction with a raw pizza. So if you're craving things like that, just try to go online and find some recipes for your classic favorites. And this can help you in those times where you're more of a nostalgic, or you want a pizza Friday night and you can't get, you know, a classic standard North American pizza. You can make a raw vegan version of pizza and still get that satisfaction from that. You want to look for these recipes to replace those while you're transitioning over to a more simple diet. If you're craving things like chocolate, sweets, you can always just use dates. You can make nice cream with frozen bananas, and you could add carob powder or raw cacao powder to it to give it a little bit of a chocolate flavor. You can do these things too if you have more of a sweet tooth. If you have more of a savory, then you can do more salads or dips. Dips and veggies are really good if you're craving like a chippy kind of, finger food. Just veggies and dip is perfect. If you get a craving for something warm and cozy, like if it's a really, really cold day or you were just out in the rain and your body is really, really cold from that and you feel like you need something warming, you can make a raw soup or you can make something that requires the dehydrator. So you can do either of those things. I personally really like my tomato onion stew, which is a new recipe. I haven't released it yet, but it's basically just a tomato soup. You can get that recipe in my new dips and dressings book. That recipe just warmed up in the blender, and it's really nice. And you can warm plates and dishes in your dehydrator or even your oven just so they're warm. And you want to hold something cozy. Even just a mug of warm lemon water can help as well. You can curl up on the couch with that, and that can help to satisfy that craving if you are feeling a little cold and if you live in northern climate like I do. Some people have actually told me that they do crave seafood. They crave that fishy, oceany kind of flavor. If you are craving fish, you might be a little bit low in either omega-3, vitamin D, or iodine. So you can actually go grab a vitamin D supplement, because it's totally okay to take that, especially if you live in northern climates where you don't see the sun very often, and eat more greens. Get more greens into your diet. You need to eat more greens to get those essential fatty acids, the omega-3. You can add chia seeds, which are very high in omega-3 and extremely high in fiber. You can also eat a lot of berries, because berries, specifically blackberries, are quite high in omega-3. So this can help to deal with that craving. And if you're craving that fishy flavor, grab some raw untoasted nori sheets and make some raw sushi. You can do that too if you are feeling you need something a little bit more ocean flavory. You can add dulse to your salads. That can help as well. So that's another tip that you can do. And watch your deficiencies. Sometimes people are craving things like chocolate because they are lower in magnesium, and then they use that as a justification to eat the chocolate bar, when they could actually just eat a green salad and get more magnesium from that green salad than they would from the chocolate bar. We don't necessarily crave what we need. We crave what we are attached to. We crave what we are, we have these nostalgic connections with. We don't necessarily crave what would be the best for us, because if you were low in magnesium, we should be craving greens. But for, people crave, they say, oh, we'll just go eat some chocolate and give us some magnesium. It doesn't really work that way. We need to be eating healthier foods to give us those nutrients. When I say that I don't crave, I actually don't crave unless there's food around that may smell good or triggers nostalgic memories, but I don't actually want to eat it, which is a place that I got to because I worked hard on myself. And I worked hard with my mindset to get to where I am. And it takes time, it takes patience, it takes daily commitment. But once you get there, it's pretty beautiful, because when you are hungry or looking for food, you kind of automatically default to the raw vegan options. And I think, what kind of a salad could I make today? With what ingredients do I have in my fridge? Or what kind of dressing do I want? My cravings now actually have changed, because now I crave things like my tomato zoodles, my mushroom marinara on my zoodles. I'll crave my chili. I do crave that, but I crave them more because they're comforting. But they're still raw, they're low fat, they're vegan, they're very, very healthy, but my cravings have definitely changed. I do crave certain fruits at certain times. Some days I just want lots of pineapple. Some days I want lots of melon. It just depends. But these are the proper cravings that you want to have. You want to crave healthy foods. You don't want to crave the bad stuff. And the bad stuff is going to be there for until we stop eating it. There's always going to be stuff in the grocery store. Your friends are always going to have food around that you're not going to want to eat. Your family's probably always gonna have things somewhere. There's always going to be a reason. the thing is, you got to get over that. Now, after saying all of that, I think the moment a craving stops being a craving, like I said, it never completely goes away, but it actually stops being like on the front of your mind or the first thing you think of, is when you finally accept that those are no longer food. When you actually look at them and don't see them as food. When you can smell them and you don't smell food, you just smell a smell. Like when I go to the mall, the food court just smells like the mall. Like I don't really connect it with food. And that is the moment when the cravings are gone. But like I said, it's different for everybody. And the more work you put in, the more daily you do this, the quicker you can get there. And hopefully you guys can do that too. Work on it daily. Focus on your affirmations. Focus on today being a raw vegan. And don't worry about tomorrow. You know, if you want to have pizza, just say, I'll have it another day, another time. Right now, today, I am raw vegan, and that is what I'm focusing on. And then tomorrow you'll do the same thing, and the next day you'll do the same thing, and hopefully you can get there. If you guys like this video, please click like and subscribe to my channel to get notifications for more. You can find me on Facebook, Lissa's Raw Food Romance, on Instagram at Raw Food Romance, and over on Snapchat, Lissa Raw Vegan. Until the next video, guys, fruit on.